the city. You're going to New York Comic Con. This is a review of New York Comic Con, and it's two parts. I didn't get too much video footage or footage on action figures because the various websites I realized would have better pictures of the figures than what I could show here. They have the better cameras, and you probably know about that news already. And also, I was so busy just being on the convention floor and all of these panels that I really didn't have too much time to take a lot of stuff. And I did have some camera trouble. But anyway, this part of the video will be about talking about the overall event and some of the panels I was at. I think this event was sold out, I was reading, and it had over 100,000 people at this event. And I don't think it was as good as last year, if you want me to be honest. Back then, last year, every day, on all 3 days, when you'd enter, they had a bag, they had a free t-shirt, and some other stuff you'd get. This year, I didn't see a free shirt when you entered, a bag and other stuff. And some of these other places where they had like some fancy bags and things like that, they didn't have it this year. And Hasbro was really nowhere to be seen this year. And that exclusive digital figure that they were supposed to have, they didn't have because it wasn't ready. And I thought last year was bad in terms of the exclusives. Like, couldn't they give you a better one than Compound Hulk? Well, this year they gave you no exclusive. Plus, on the San Diego con, they gave you exclusives all over, figure after figure. It's like they spent all of their time and energy going to that event, and then Hasbro decided to give nothing to the New York Comic Con this year, which is messed up when you think about it, because they gave so much at San Diego. Like, wouldn't it have been good to hold something over? Why not give the Masters of Evil 3-pack and make that a New York Comic Con exclusive instead of putting it out back then? Because they were already having enough to give away. They should have just gave one of those exclusive ideas to the New York event. And I think the Masters of Evil 3-pack would have been a great idea, just to have that type of figure. And then, so Hasbro, and they didn't even have a panel at the event. Hasbro, last year they did. This year they didn't, so nothing was really shown. And the pictures online, I didn't see it on the convention floor. I think they were just there that one day. And this year it was much more crowded. I remember checking in bags or coats. It was pretty easy. It wasn't a long line last year. This year the line was big. You had to wait quite a few minutes just to check in a bag or a coat. And they had construction going on various areas on the outside and on the inside. And so that restricted things quite a bit. One of the things that they did do right was last year when they would have, let's say, popular panels that would have a lot of people attending, some of these rooms that they set aside were so small that, you know, it would just sell out and you wouldn't have a chance of getting into the event. Well, this year they made a section where they took out the walls and combined rooms so that the big events would have a lot of seats available, so there's a better chance that people could attend and get a seat. So that was something they did right. Another positive aspect of the event, like last year, the variety of panels was really good overall. There were a lot of good ones to go to, and of course they have competing events, so if you go to one you really can't go to the other, but that always happens. The convention floor this year, like last year, was really big, but last year I found a couple of dealers who really had good prices on a lot of their items. this year there weren't too many dealers with a lot of stuff that was really, cheap. Those are the best ones that it's priced to go. Wasn't as many this year that I saw. And of course, you had the toy dealers who had the jacked up prices. We're talking over $150 for the San Diego convention exclusives. I didn't get them, but at least I was able to see them. We're talking about the dealers who would charge something like $50 or more for any DC or any Marvel figure. Those are the ones they have a big supply, but it's like, it looks good, but how many sales are they getting? I'm not going to buy it from those dealers. In fact, I could buy some of the figures that I saw at the convention floor cheaper online with shipping, and it would still even be cheaper. Then you had the ones that had some pretty fair prices. Not a sale really, but not so much higher. But still, I saw some of the current Marvel Universe action figures selling for $20 when it's still so current, and there's still a chance that Hasbro will issue it again in future waves. That I'm just going to wait because I don't need it right now for that price. And so that's the overall convention things going on. And let me just talk about some of the panels that I went or that were listed here. And here are some of the panels at the Comic-Con that I attended and thoughts on it. Friday they had Valiant, the future of Valiant Comics. And it was pretty nice to hear what was going on and the books they're working on. Plus, due to the questions of the fans, they addressed the Solar, Magnus, and Turok characters, which they don't own, which they like, but they were just licensed out and they don't have the rights to those characters now. And that they're probably not going to be able to print a Unity trade paperback, which was like an 18-part crossover from the original universe. And because they don't have the rights to those three main characters. DC Comics All Access before Watchmen. That was a good panel because they were talking about how when they started the project, they still weren't sure how it would be embraced by the community and by established professionals. And what they learned was actually a lot of the professionals they contacted like to be a part of this project, and so has the fan response. And they're going to have like more special covers, and it seems to me like this is something that they will continue to work on when this series is done. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more Watchmen comics in the future in some form or other. And one good thing about the Watchmen panel, they were talking about how for most of the characters, when they have to have a solo book, they really have to develop other aspects of the character to make a story rather than what was in the original series where a good portion of the characters weren't developed enough. I was listening to Breaking Into Comics the Marvel Way. It was just like what I mentioned in another video somewhere that, and they even outright said it, the editors there, to break into comics, the big two like Marvel or DC, you have to have your work published somewhere else. You have to have been making comics books at some level, maybe the independent level or somewhere. And if your stuff is good enough, they will eventually notice it. And that's how some of the people on the panel there got work. They said everyone who gets discovered in comic books is discovered a different way, that no two people get discovered the same exact way. And due to the examples they mentioned, I was surprised, but they're right. Everyone has a different story of how they actually made it into the industry. But, if you're a writer especially, or an artist, just don't expect to make it into those companies. You got to do some real independent work first, especially a writer. And then, if you're lucky, maybe you'll get noticed. And it's also good to contact and just act like a normal person. Don't be pitching stuff. Like talk to the editors and things like that. And one thing you should talk to is the assistant editors, because the editors are busy, but the assistant editors, those are the ones who are looking for really new people and creators. That if you could build a relationship with them, and they're the ones who will help you really along the way. I also attended a panel on webcomics from hobby to business about how some people are making comics on the web and have been successful, and how you could actually handle that into a business end. A lot of good information, but just a lot to talk about. Saturday had a lot of panels. One was the Image Comics panel talking about the books. And one of the things I noticed about that Image Comics panel was it was mostly real independent stuff. It wasn't superhero material topic-wise that they talked about. They had the Mattel panel. It was mostly Masters of the Universe. And I was disappointed that they didn't go to DC Classics and other lines. They're really stretching it because they've already had all the main characters made. So they're just using any little idea that, let's say, a character appeared in a comic book one time and they want to make a figure on it, or someone has just a concept sketch someone made, one of the people, then they want to make a figure on it. It seems to me like they're really going to obscure characters just to keep that universe around, even though, just my opinion, there's not too much justification to make all of these characters that really have no relevance to the main line of figures. And I guess they're stretching it, is my point. They had a really great panel on the TV show Person of Interest. If you're not watching it on CBS, you really should check it out. It's sort of like a superhero series without the costumes. And all of the main actors were at the panel. And it was pretty cool to see all the main actors, and nice to see them talking about the show and elements about the show that I didn't know about. I talked about Stan Lee's World of Heroes. If you don't know, check out on YouTube World of Heroes. That's a Stan Lee website and company. I didn't even know about this YouTube channel. It's called World of Heroes until the panel. And it was just really great to see Stan Lee again right there in a convention panel. That's one of the icons of the industry. They had a really good panel after that called Marvel Television Presents, talking about the Marvel TV shows and movies. And it was pretty cool to see the Hulk and Agents of Smash animated show. Animation looks good. It looks like something I'll watch. Wasn't too sure if I want to watch this series or how it would be presented, but it looks pretty good. And I saw a preview of the new Avengers cartoon that's going to replace Earth's Mightiest Heroes. The new Avengers cartoon looks pretty good. It does look of quality. It's not the same type of animation, but I think I'm going to like this series as well. And I think you will also want to check it out. I wasn't too sure when they got rid of Earth's Mightiest Heroes if this new Avengers series would be good. But from what I've seen so far, it's going to keep the fans watching. They had a costume contest. All the people dressed up in cosplay and all the various cosplay costumes. That's pretty good to see. Some of the panels on Sunday were at the big theater. They had Green Arrow, the TV show, and they had all the actors from the show on the series, and they talked about how it's real world type aspect they want to use and try to make it realistic. And it was actually the highest rated show on the CW in years. So it seems to me like it was a bigger hit than they thought. And I didn't think it would be that big of a hit, but so far it's a good start. And we'll see what happens on that show. They had a Spider-Man at the IGN Theater birthday celebration. And that was actually disappointing. It was supposed to be for like 2 hours. And the guy who plays Spider-Man on Broadway, all he did literally was come out on stage. There were 4 people dressed as Spider-Man in different costumes, like in the background doing moves. He sung one song. the guy from the Broadway thing, and then he left. And it just seemed like, I don't know, like probably he didn't even want to be there, and it showed. I mean, if he's the guy in the Broadway show, you think there would be more interaction, like talk to the audience, or just make it some interactive experience. Talk about what you think of the show, or maybe sing more than one song. But no, it's just literally appeared on stage, sang one song, and left. And I thought that was kind of a letdown to the whole audience, especially when it mentions the Broadway show a lot. And the people who dressed as Spider-Man, though, like the stunt actors, really cool. You could see the stunt coordination, and two of them really stood out because they were tall, and you'd think they would fit the role better, but they got the Spider-Man moves. And then they went to some later on. They went to like some pictures and going to show 2 animated episodes. But I left early because I could watch those animated episodes on television eventually. They had a DC Comics meet the co-publishers of Jim Lee and Dido, and that was pretty cool. Talking about the DC stuff going on for the year. And that was about it. You see, there's so many panels going on at this convention, and each panel is about an hour, that literally, if the show opens at 10 o'clock and it closes at 7 for most of those panels, you just go to a few of them, like 3 or 4, and that's most of the day. And that's not even going to the convention floor or Artist Alley and all of that. And some people are standing in line to get autographs, paying anywhere from $50 to $100 just to get an autograph. And big lines for some people. Definitely a lot of stuff to do at the convention. And that's my thoughts on it. And thanks for watching.